to start diving into how to scale yourself as a digital nomad. This is the 𝐘𝐨𝐿 podcast season 2, where we are learning stories from our amazing guests who have been digital nomads, whether they've been doing it for 6 months, 10 years, however long it is. We're exploring the different types of businesses and careers that you can have while working anywhere in the world. And especially in today's episode, we're diving how to be a part-time nomad and what it looks like to be a nomad when you are more in a hybrid kind of workplace. So if you're ready to ditch the grind from a solopreneur into an actual business owner, then listen in to this 𝐘𝐿 episode. Now, our guest today is a full-time social media specialist at the Digital Marketing Institute in Dublin. She's a remote worker and a part-time digital nomad. Nicola Gwillym is based in Ireland, originally from the UK. In the podcast, she'll walk you guys through how she's changed her careers from a dancer to a digital marketer. Nicola has also started speaking at conferences earlier this year, sharing her knowledge of AI in social media. Okay, everyone, so please let me introduce you our guest for today, the amazing Nikki. Hey, Nikki.
Hello, hi guys. Hi Leanne, how are you today?
I'm good. Excited that you're here, especially with your whole brand of part-time nomad. It is exactly what I'm hoping to kind of give people a glimpse of what that's like and what that life is. So hopefully you're ready to share a little bit of that story. So to start off, who were you before all of this, basically? Before you started doing the nomad life, who was Nikki then?
Well, actually, I pivoted during the pandemic, so I haven't always been this AI social media person, part-time nomad that I am today. I actually used to be a dancer, and I used to run a dance business for around 12 years, so it was a long time. But I knew that when the pandemic hit, that being in person wasn't really going to be feasible for that time. And as the days and months continued on, I knew that if I could get online, then I would probably be able to create a life that was even more free than the one that I already had.
That's amazing. And as someone who has danced with you, I can attest to your dance teacher skills. So that's interesting that and I remember when we first talked that you walked me through that. I'm like, you did that for a while, you did that with your husband a little bit as well. And then, of course, with just like everything else, like everyone else during the pandemic, it was like a good pause. Is this still the thing that you want to do, after this, or is it time to switch? So tell me or walk me through more about that transition of like, how did you go from kind of essentially owning your own business to the point where you're now freelancing, you're nomading, you're traveling everywhere else, and planning to do more of that? What was that transition look like?
A lot of hard work. So it all starts with a decision. So even though I absolutely loved my business, like you said, like I ran with my husband, it was time for a change. I felt like I wanted to come into a different era of maybe using more of just the mind rather than the mind and the body. So basically I did a master's degree in digital marketing, and that acted as kind of like a springboard for me to be able to get the knowledge across a broad area of the topic. But as I was delving into each area, and I actually worked in office for around, it was 9 months at an agency, and I tried every single different area of digital marketing. I did lean in towards social media and found it had that social aspect that I really enjoy about life and work in general. So I just focused in on social media and knew that if I took it, to the extreme, if you like, I could make a career out of it and transition into remote work and also freelance.
That's amazing. And it's one of the reasons why I'm really excited about your parts of your story also is the fact that, one, you did only do this a few years ago, literally about 4 years ago now. And two, the part where so many people, when they start going into a career, start freelancing, start different jobs, they think they're stuck on that. And like for you, you've literally had to restart, and you, like you just said, you explored different parts of marketing, you found social media to be the one. So tell me more about then of what has your day-to-day life been like? Like, you're part-time nomad, but what normally would be the day in the life of Nikki when you're traveling or when you're not also?
Okay, so it's interesting. So like you say, like I started training in 2021, started working in 2022, freelancing at the end of 22, and then full-time remote work in February 23, and I graduated from my master's then. So all this was going on at the same time. But what I found is that for me, a balance is having a home base, but also travel. So I spend most of my year in Ireland. I'm based in the Republic of Ireland, although I'm originally from UK. I've been living here for many years. But the way it looks for me is I spend maybe 3 months a year traveling around that, and the rest of the year based here. So when I do work, it's just like any other work from home role. So I am based predominantly, it's a remote first company. So there are occasions when I do go into office, the offices are in Dublin, which is always fun because you get to see your team and catch up. And, you know, we usually do something like go for lunch or dinner or something around that too. So that's great. So a day in the life would just be, I wake up early, I work on my own stuff. So I've got my part-time nomad club that I'm trying to build, which is really a space for people to discover nomad life and know that they don't have to do it as a full-time thing. You can have a base, you can have a job, you can travel and work, you can do it all. It's all possible. You just have to find your way of doing things. And I guess then when I'm traveling, I plan ahead, and I usually like to go to somewhere where there's an event. So, for example, in 𝐓𝐫𝐮𝐞, there was a conference, which I actually spoke at with yourself. We took to the same stage. It was amazing. And just to go with a purpose, meet other people, meet nomads, get to know the local culture. Just really traveling with purpose is really what I enjoy.
So, before anything else, for those who are watching this on YouTube, I did switch cameras just because we were glitching so bad on my other camera. So that's hence the change. However, for those who are listening in, I love that you share a lot about the hybrid lifestyle, basically. Also the importance of still seeing people from time to time, because for me, of course, in the last however long that I've been working from home, it can be lonely, especially for you where you're used to seeing people a lot, especially in your past business, and as well as thriving and finding events and conferences to not just participate but also speak at. And of course, when we met in Mexico, that was kind of a cool, we found our togetherness in being the women in AI. So tell me more about that, of what it is that you do, and how you kind of bring value into the world.
Well, firstly, it was amazing to have met you at 𝐓𝐵𝐮𝐞 and for us to have been the only two AI women, because it is a very male-dominated space still. So I guess for me, it's all about just sharing knowledge, because I come from a teaching background, and it's something that's in my family. Like my mom was a full-time teacher her whole life, my sister's a teacher, so and my dad actually taught judo too, so it's there in our family. So for me, teaching feels good and it gives me fulfillment. So social media is great, and I'm enjoying it, and I'm enjoying the roller coaster that is, all of the platforms and building brands and doing all the things. But I do need to have this interaction with people. So to be able to kind of take AI in its kind of, because it's still really not that new. I'm not. Sorry. So reset. So to be able to kind of take AI and integrate it into social media has been kind of a game changer for me, that I'm able to save a bit of time, although it's still a very time consuming job, social media. B, I just use it as an assistant to augment creativity, to be there as sort of a co-worker or like an intern, where you can get it to help you with any task, and it's brilliant. So I was thinking if I could take this and show business owners, social media managers, brands, anybody who needs it, in very actionable steps, then maybe they can take away what I've been working on and they can implement it themselves. And there's that kind of just the knowledge share, really. That's the hope that I have, that value that I bring to people.
Amazing. And it's interesting, and it's so funny because for AI, usually people do say oh, I'm social media, I can when it comes to the creativity part with like, hey, if you're using AI, that's not anymore just you, but like we know that no, it's still us. Like we're still the one putting things into ChatGPT or Claude or anything else that anyone would be using. So I love that you're sharing that a lot into the world, and you're talking about it actively with other people as well. But I wanted to zoom in a little bit also onto your that day-to-day nomad life that you do have. What would be kind of the challenges that you might have from time to time when it comes to when you are traveling, when you are a little bit remote versus of course when you're at the office, when you're at your home base? What are those two, balancing scales look like to you?
Well, for me personally, I've tried to eliminate challenges before they've arrived. So basically, that involves having a very solid routine. So basically, what I do is I take my work routine that I've created at home and I just bring it with me. And so far, I haven't ventured into too many time zones that are different to what I'm used to. So I'm kind of playing it safe and nomading in Europe and Europe time zones at the moment. But I might come to Asia, you never know, soon. Yeah, would be amazing. So that's one of the ways I've been able to eliminate the challenge, is not having to deal with the time zone change. But if I do have anything that's kind of like a big challenge, it's kind of like when I'm at home, I have less of distractions. So obviously when you're traveling, you've got like the new place, you want to see everything.
Exploring the new places and like food to eat. For sure.
All of the people that, like the events, and there's this going on, that night. I live in the countryside on a day-to-day, so it's kind of quiet to be productive. So when I am traveling, I do find that can be the main challenge. So in order to kind of buffer that, I make sure that I take annual leave while I'm on remote work. So so like I'll either do like a few days at the beginning, usually just to settle in, and then I'll maybe even take like 3 or 4 days a week, a big chunk of annual leave during that time. Let's say it's a month. So I can really get into where I am, or pop to Greece for the weekend like you do when you're in Bansko. So that would be probably my main takeaway.
Yeah, that's perfect. And I like that you laid it out for people of kind of the balancing act of both, of like being a little bit more hybrid. And like I remember when you first told me that you were combining your remote work with your annual leave, I'm like, that is genius, that is super duper smart of like planning it out that way. And I love that you have a lot of intentionality when it comes to it, of like, oh, this is my routine when I go here, this is still going to be a routine, because then it feels like because that's kind of one of the more jarring things when you're working remotely, is like when you're in a new place, I'm like, how do I make sure I put in my run in, how to make sure that I have the same kind of, for people who are fasting like me, my eating window, how to make sure that I still take care of myself without burning myself out while traveling. So that's perfect. So then what's something you're looking forward to as you explore more and more in this space of being more of a nomad, whether that's maybe, the whole month of kind of combining a remote work plus annual leave, or just as a part-time nomad in general?
I guess the next steps for me are to continue to travel part-time as I'm doing. I would like to go to more conferences, speak at more conferences, make more connections that way. I find it's been a very deep experience for me to meet other people on this journey, and we're all doing it slightly differently, and we're all from all over the world and sharing our experiences, and that to me is extremely positive, especially meeting women in the space that are doing their thing, enjoying their life, doing everything. I've met moms, aunties, wives, girlfriends, doing all of the roles, and yet still they're able to live their dream lives. So it's great, and it's inspirational to me. So doing more of that, really. And then I suppose as a secondary type of thing is just to try to be more consistent on my own work, I guess, because I don't know about you, but I sometimes find that I'll push my own posting on socials to the back, and everything else will get done first, and I'll be like at the back of the queue. So that's another actual challenge when you're traveling, is to keep that momentum going of trying to fit all of the pieces of the puzzle in.
Yeah, and it's like I said, it is, you have to really think about it and plan for it, like that consistency of like what parts of my habits am I really going to be strong on, like okay, posting, engaging with people, versus like, hey, what are the more flexible ones? Maybe not focus a lot on as an example, I don't focus a lot on like Twitter, but I'll be focused a lot on Instagram or on LinkedIn. And for the two of us, we've talked about, we've become each other's accountability partners in making sure that we do post consistently a little bit more. So for those who have not followed the two of us yet, maybe watch out for that too. All right, so that's fantastic on where you're at when you're building. That actually also leads me perfectly to my favorite question that I always ask on this podcast is, as you start growing, as you start either becoming more full-time or finding out what that means to you and what actually that reality of that looks like, if we had a cloning machine and we were able to build a second Nikki or a third Nikki or 300 Nikkis basically, what would be the change that you would want to see in the world?
Ooh, wow, that's a deep one. I guess it's just for everybody to try and live to their true selves and their true potential. So whatever that would look like to each individual, and how I could be supportive in that role.
That's beautiful, and I love that you're so focused on that, just because you're on that journey basically of that's your life path at the moment. And I'm super excited also to see how you're figuring it out, how you're directing yourself in a lot of different ways, or you can be directed in this journey basically figuring out what kind of nomad you're going to be. And I love your brand already, so I'm looking forward to seeing more of that. So how can people find you? How can people get to know you? How can other people follow along in your part-time nomad journey?
And well, at the moment, I'm active on LinkedIn, so that's just under my name, Nicola Gwillym. And I also have my Instagram, which is Part-Time Nomad Club. So feel free to head over to there, guys, and check me out. Oh, and I do actually have a YouTube channel, which I'm trying to build, which is again Nicola Gwillym. And that kind of showcases my AI work, speaker profile, and all that kind of thing.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Nikki. And hopefully you've inspired some person out there who feels stuck, who feel like they don't know where to start. Like, hey, Nikki did it in 3 years of like figuring it out and getting started from scratch on a new like whole skill level. So thank you so much for sharing your story today.
And thank you so much for having me, Leanne. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
I hope you guys enjoyed that episode with Nikki. You guys can go ahead and check out her links below if you're already watching this on YouTube. Of course, make sure to hit that like button right there and comment below if you have any questions for Nikki for the future. And if you guys are listening in or watching this as well, make sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of the episodes of the Scale You podcasts. Now, I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and remember that small steps matters. And we'll see you in the next episode. Bye.